All right, I'm here with Lori today. She is the director of Nevada SPCA. How long you been doing that?
So, Jack, I've done this about 6.5 years.
Okay.
So in a lot of ways, I'm still new to animal welfare. I was previously in primarily radio sales and management for most of my career, but I was always an animal lover and loved this organization and saw that they were going through some change. I wasn't living here. I was in California, but had lived here for a long time previous to that. And this was always my favorite city. So it attracted me back to Vegas.
What took you to California?
So I was running some radio stations for a friend of mine in San Jose, California. Beautiful part of the country. But most of my personal and business network was in Las Vegas, and I missed my friends. And then this opportunity was interesting to me, and I started talking to the consultants that were hiring for the job, reminding them that I did not know a lot about animal sheltering. And they told me that they would teach me what I needed to know, but they were just looking for somebody that had worked in business and management and essentially fundraising. It was more of a sales background, but it's very similar. So it's the same thing. And so we talked for a few months, and then I was offered the position.
Nice. Were you actually on the radio? Because you have a great voice for radio.
Well, thank you. Very early on. In college and when I first got out of college, and I tell the story that I was at a radio station and I wanted to know who those girls were with the fancy designer purses and the really nice cars, and the DJ told me that those were the salespeople. So then I I realized, wait, I think I want to do that. So I always was involved in part doing voiceovers, et cetera, but I did really enjoy sales and management because you got to work with the community and the clients in the community. And we do a lot of that every day at Nevada SPCA. We are privately funded entirely by donors, and we get to really interact with a variety of people in the community, individuals, businesses, and that's a really fun part of my job.
How important is fundraising?
Well, we can't exist without it. So Nevada SPCA is entirely privately funded by donors in the community, individuals, businesses, family foundations. So what people do to support us really is relative to our impact. So without that fundraising, we wouldn't exist. Now, fortunately, we touch a lot of lives every day through adoptions, through fostering, through donations and our volunteer program. So we have been linked to a number of people over the years that have personally felt what it's like to have the joy of an animal. So we're fortunate there's a lot of generous people out there that really get firsthand what our impact is.
Is it hard not to take a bunch of them home?
Yes, we I joke that we have to compartmentalize.
Right.
So I currently have 3 personal animals, cats. I normally have both cats and dogs, but my dogs passed away, and I'm just at the shelter too much. 2 of the 3 cats are from our shelter. But I think you just have to become logical and think ahead, like, okay, if I bring home one more, this is how much more work I'm going to do. And I think most of our staff does a pretty good job of that, although I think all of our staff, except for Lindsay, who's sitting in the hallway here and who's on day 2 and just hasn't had enough time yet to adopt an animal. I think everybody in our building has an animal for Nevada SPCA. It's too tempting, but I think we're all pretty good at putting a limit on it.
Including me. I got a dog from there for my dad, and I got a pig for us, Mr. Pig. We got him. My wife corrected me. I got a tour of your beautiful place, and I told you 5 years ago, but she corrected me. It was closer to 8 years ago we got him.
Good. Well, as we spoke before, unfortunately, we don't have pigs anymore. So when I took over, the people that hired me were animal welfare consultants. They'd been doing it for a long time, and they determined before I started Nevada SPCA that we would concentrate on a limited amount of species.
Okay.
Primarily dogs and cats. Those are the most popular pets that people have. And then some small pets, rabbits, guinea pigs, chinchillas, an occasional pet rat and a sugar glider. But we got out of the pig and chicken business. And we don't, in our new shelter, we don't have capacity for them anyway. I wish we did. I wish we had opportunities for even more species, but we are handling the ones that most people are interested in, dogs and cats.
How did you guys choose on the other ones?
So I think that we wanted to limit it to similar species that were mammals. And the rabbits and guinea pigs really, and pet rats, really make up 8 or 9% of our total intake and adoptions. So the consultants actually made those decisions. And I think it's based on the most popular species to adopt after dogs and cats. I know we've had staff express some interest. That'd be great if we could take in reptiles, et cetera. So maybe in the future, but again, right now, most people walk in our door and the first thing they ask for are puppies or small dogs. And then the next thing they ask for are kittens. So we're hitting all those marks for potential adopters. Then of course our beautiful adult dogs and adult cats. And that's what most people in the world want.
Pet rats live for a long time.
3 to 4 years.
It felt like 10 because we had a snake, my daughter, and you have to feed them live rats.
Oh,
and
snakes,
this one was too cute, so we couldn't feed it, so we ended up keeping it as a pet.
So reptiles, yes, will last longer. I thought so.
No, I was talking about the rats because I kept this thing
thing
because it was too cute, and they were against feeding it, and it ended up living forever as a pet. So
you must have had just a rat with a lot of longevity in its DNA.
My wife feeds these animals good. Mr. Pig has 2 organic solids a day. He eats better than me, so who knows what she was feeding it. But yeah, your facility is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Tell us about that place. How long has it been around? The new one?
We moved in October of 2021. So most of our team that started at the end of 2019, our goal was to start a capital campaign to fundraise for a brand new shelter.
Okay.
We were leasing in a building that had been around since the 70s. It was in bad shape. It had not been maintained. And then the pandemic happened. And I thought I had more time, but our old building, the fire sprinkler system, started flooding the building. So we knew we had to find a new place quickly. We didn't have time to raise money during the pandemic to build a new building in the time period that we needed. So we quickly found another lease and started doing a build out there and moved in October of 2021. I will not recommend building an animal shelter in a pandemic. It was difficult with the volatility of pricing and supply and demand the labor shortage. And, when we started the project, we were really hoping that there would be more pro bono work from some of the subcontractors, which today we would get. But during the pandemic, of course, we had a scenario where a lot of these contractors and subcontractors didn't know where their next paycheck was going to come from. So fortunately, I think we still were able to build the project with a reasonable fee. I mean, we spent about $2.5 million, including all of the enclosures, the dog kennels, et cetera. It could have been a lot. It could have been much higher. And we were able to meet most of our deadlines, which could have been much later again with labor shortages. So all in all, we got out pretty easily. But again, I wouldn't recommend. It was just a really difficult time for us and the community during the pandemic, not really knowing what was going to happen day to day.
Nice. And when you guys had the old facility, I know when we toured the place, you had some veterinarians there. Did you have that at the old facility as well?
So we did not. So the organization had always depended on outside veterinary services. And while we did get good deals, it was expensive. But even more importantly, it slowed down our ability to get the animal into a home as quickly as possible. So our goal is to get the animal adopted into the right home as soon as we can, so that will open up a space for us to bring in more animals. We were about 3 weeks from moving into this new facility. We did not have a veterinary clinic in our plans, and a veterinarian came to us that had a lot of experience in shelter veterinary medicine and said, I want to run your program. So we hired her and then pivoted and converted one of our laundry rooms into a medical clinic.
Oh, wow.
And a janitorial closet into a surgical suite. And it has been really a game changer for us in that not only did it reduce our expenses, we still do most of our veterinary medicine and surgeries in our clinic, but occasionally we don't have an x-ray machine, for example, so we have to go out of house for that. But the first month that we started doing spay and neuter procedures in our building, our monthly cost went from $30,000 to $3,000.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's
what
a
that
big
means
difference.
is we're able to use that that money for other things to help animals. But again, even more importantly, we were able to, if we're spay and neutering animals in the morning and they are doing well, we can put them up for adoption that afternoon. And as we're entering kitten season, which is, well, pretty much year round here, it's when it's warm and the animals are breeding, but there will be a surge soon. We're just waiting for the tidal wave to hit us. And when we start spay and neutering kittens, we will do those in the morning and they will be available for adoption and find homes by the end of the day.
Wow, that's amazing, that turnaround time. Do they have to be a certain age to be able to be spayed or neutered?
Good question. They actually have to be a certain weight.
Oh,
and
okay.
that generally is around about 8 weeks, 2 months. So most shelters will start spay and neutering them at about 2 pounds. Our veterinary department can do it at 1.5 pounds. It is a skill set. A lot of your general practice veterinarians that aren't practicing shelter medicine and the volume of kittens that we will see are not able to do spay and neuter procedures on that small of animals. In fact, a lot of them won't perform those procedures unless the animal is at 3 pounds. But again, our goal, our overall objective at Nevada SPCA is to reduce pet homelessness. And we do that by getting the animal into the right home as quickly as possible. So by our being able to spay and neuter those kittens as early as possible, it gets them into a right home. And it also is it's a wonderful experience for an adopter to be able to bring home a little bitty kitten. So it makes me happy to see these little kittens that are barely 2 pounds to be able to go home to their new family as soon as possible.
Do you see people who are wanting to surrender their pet just because they can't afford the vet bill?
Yes. So, in fact, Jack, the biggest reason we're seeing nowadays with this economy is housing. So Nevada SPCA, during the pandemic, we started providing food to pet owners in financial need through our pet pantry. And then we grew that community support and started offering veterinary care in 2023, where we would pay for people's vet bills. Our goal was to keep that pet in the home. We will always be a shelter. I believe we'll always be a safety net for pets. But if we can intervene, if the pet owner wants to keep the pet and provide them resources, that's what Nevada SPCA's community support program will do. And frankly, that's really, I believe, the future of our organization. So last year we paid $338,000 in veterinary care for pet owners to keep the pets in the home. This year our goal is $500,000. When people fill out an application to surrender their pet to us, we ask them, if we give you food or vet assistance, will you keep the pet? And if they say yes, then we divert that application to our community support. We unfortunately can't provide housing that allows pets for them, but we will assist them with things like if they need assistance with pet deposits or pet rent. We also will assist them with emotional support animal letters, ESA letters. We don't write them. A licensed therapist has to write them. But if that is presented to a landlord, that it is federal law that the landlord needs to honor that. So we will give them resources as to where they can get those letters, because a lot of landlords are not familiar with them or understand that they have to honor them by federal law. So we will give that pet owner all of that information to present to them. We also just had a situation, for example, where a woman was moving into a Siegel Suites apartment, and she had 2 cats, and she did not have her ESA letter by the time she needed to move in. So she already had a doctor's appointment for it. So we paid for the boarding for her cats for about a week until she was able to have that letter and then move in with her cats. So those kind of scenarios, so that so pet owners are not having to give up their pets when they want to keep them. That's where we want to be able to provide more and more resources. And I think that kind of preventative assistance in our community is far more effective than just warehousing animals in a shelter because they can't keep them. So that's really where we want to grow, and the more people that support us with funding, whether they're an individual or a business or, again, a family foundation or they're a grant, is really going to be transformative in our community.
Yeah, that pantry was pretty awesome. I mean, you had a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Does that come from volunteers, or you guys have to buy the food?
So most of it, almost all of it, is donated.
Nice.
So it's donated by individuals. We do call outs. We just did one recently that we needed dry dog food, and we have a lot of donors that we had one group meet us up at Costco, and we loaded up a pallet of dog food. We also have relationships with companies like Amazon. There's a couple of Amazon warehouses in town where we do almost weekly pickups. We will intake any brand of food. Mm-hmm. We will intake open bags because we repackage the food for the pet owner. The pet owner fills out an application. We give them enough food for a month based on the animals they have in the home. And we have volunteers do all of the repackaging of that food to prepare all of those orders. We have relationships with companies like Chewy and PetSmart where we will get some food from as well. So last year we fed 5,000 pets over almost 75,000 meals.
Wow.
And I mean, the need is overwhelming. And this year we really hope to be able to impact even more pet owners.
Is that something they've always done, is try to keep the pet in the home?
No. So,
because it seems like would be a great success.
So I'll tell you the evolution. Again, I am, I still think I'm fairly new to animal welfare, though it's been 6.5 years. And when we started at the old shelter, there was somebody that had to surrender a puppy because the puppy had broken its leg and they didn't have the money to fix it. Mm-hmm. It was, sadly, a lot of times if the breaks are really bad, it's better just to amputate the limb. I mean, we see that with a lot of kittens. The animal actually, instead of subjecting the animal to lifelong pain and subsequent anxiety, sometimes that's the best solution. And in this solution, that's what it was going to have to be, and that's a $2,000 procedure. And at the time, I remember asking my team, well, why don't we just do the procedure so they can keep the puppy?
Yeah.
So we didn't have a formal program at that time, but we did that for that puppy and then started jumping in on some of these cases. And then eventually our community support program evolved, where we developed a program with applications and standard operating procedures, et cetera, and the marketing for it, where we offered those resources again to keep the pets in the homes.
That's awesome. It seems like it'd be super successful to have the owner keep it instead of surrendering it, if it's just something that they can get help with.
Yes. So, pet homelessness is just at an all-time high.
Really?
It was bad before the pandemic, but because of economy and so many people losing their housing, mm-hmm. Changing where they're living, moving in with family, moving out of state, there's just so many reasons why they're giving up their pets, that keeping the pets in the home is, first of all, the most important thing people need to do is spay and neuter their animals. And the reason we have to do that is there's there's more pets than people. There's just too many of them out there.
That's been going on for a while because I remember watching as a kid Wheel of Fortune, right? And I think it was that show where
Price is Right.
Price is Right,
Bob
yeah.
Barker.
Spay and neuter your pet. That was always his message at the end.
Yes. Well, it's the law too. So at 4 months in most communities, Clark County, City of Las Vegas, North of Vegas, Henderson, you by law have to
Do
spay
people
and neuter
know
your
this?
pets.
Because I don't know if.
I don't think so. So education is a really important piece, Jack, especially in some communities, in some communities more than others, that some people don't understand that it's not only the law, but your pets are going to live longer if you spay and neuter them. So we see a lot, for example, through our community support program, we see a lot of cases where the female animals have a deadly uterine infection. It's called pyometra. And you have to treat it within a few days or it can be lethal. Well, when you spay your animals, that's not going to happen. It also will reduce the incidence of cancers and other things. And then again, it's the law. But I'll speak to that through our community support program that, if I need to spay a medium-sized dog,
Okay.
and it's the law for me to do that, but if I'm going to a veterinarian, it's going to cost me $300 to $500 to spay and neuter that dog. And we're talking to people every day that don't have that money. So again, that's where we jump in and provide those spay and neuters for various people so they can abide by the law.
At your facility, or you help them do it out of vet?
So we help them do it. So our community support program provides vet care through a network of veterinary partners throughout the community. So we've established these partnerships with various clinics that we vet based on pricing, based on availability, different geographic locations, level of care. Are they providing good care? Also, are they compassionate, respectful to our clients that we are sending to them? Are we similar in what our cultures are, which is also an important piece. So we have, and that's been a very successful program, that there are multiple access points for these clients to go to once we connect them with them, including in some of the more impoverished areas of town. We have vet clinics that we work with downtown where we will provide transport in certain cases, but we have some instances where we know people are riding the bus to take their pet to that client. So that's worked out very, very well for us. Our shelter veterinary clinic is just very, very busy with shelter pets. So we are really limited at the services that we can do through our shelter. But again, we're finding it more successful just to have multiple access points and multiple veterinary choices for these different pet owners throughout Las Vegas.
So if somebody adopts a dog or cat from you, it's spayed or neutered, right?
Yes. So yes. So we that's an absolute, and the rabbits as well. We don't do some of the other small pets because they don't do well under anesthesia. But the spay and neuter part is really, really important.
Why don't pet stores do that or require that?
I don't think pet stores have the same objectives and missions as we do to reduce pet homelessness. I believe it's a business and a financial transaction for them. And, to that point, Jack, I'm just really proud of what our jurisdictions have done in getting rid of pet stores in our community for that very reason that they're not helping us solve the problem. They're trying to make money on the backs of animals. So, in Clark County in November of 2022, our Commissioner Michael Knapp introduced an ordinance where they outlawed pet stores beginning in November 2023 in unincorporated Clark County. And then Henderson.
Did they all move somewhere else?
Well, funny you should say that. So yeah, most of them moved into the city of Las Vegas. So now Mayor Shelley Berkeley worked with her city council and introduced ordinance last year. Well, in 3 years, the pet stores in the city of Las Vegas will be eliminated. And that's the first time. I mean, I know some critics said, well, it's in 3 years. Well, we all know that will be here before we know it.
Right.
And it's the first time that any legislation outlawing pet stores had been introduced in the city. Henderson introduced some as well, where they grandfathered in the 3 existing pet stores. So when those pet stores would want to sell their business, they cannot sell the sale of pet animal part of it, or they would have to go away.
So only those 3 are allowed. They can't open any new ones?
They were grandfathered in. So I know that Reno for a long time has been a no pet store city. A lot of animal welfare advocates, including our organization, supported the ban of pet stores statewide. Did not happen in this last legislative session. The pet store lobby had strong support. But so then I was really proud to see that the city of Las Vegas just did it on their own, since it did not happen on the state level. And I really thank Mayor Shelley Berkeley for that. That's
awesome. So where would you recommend somebody who's looking to get a dog or a cat start? If we stay away from the pet stores, is it seeing you guys, or how are some of these different rescues? There's a lot of rescues we're seeing as well.
So certainly go to Nevada SPCA's website. We change it hourly to see if there's something available. There are other shelters in our community, the Animal Foundation, the Henderson Shelter. Look on their sites to see what's available. A nice shortcut is to go to a website called petfinder.com.
Okay.
And you can put in your location and what you're looking for. And a number of organizations like ours and some of the smaller rescues feed into that website. And then you can see what's available. So if you're interested in a dachshund, there aren't many of them that are available, but you could watch that website to see what pops up. So that's what I would recommend. Either Nevada SPCA or petfinder.com.
Do they get some dogs from you too, the rescues, or?
So no, but we get some dogs from them.
Okay.
So because we have, most of these rescues are volunteer based, but this is my full-time job, and our staff, we have 30 full-time staff.
Oh, wow.
So it may seem like a lot, but it's really not. And with that, we just have a lot more resources. We have veterinary department. We have a fundraising department. So there's a number of instances where the rescues have reached out to us and said, we're full, we can't take these animals, or this animal has been with us for a long time and we haven't been able to find a home for us. And because we have a brick and mortar shelter where people can walk in all the time and see our animals, we're just able to find them a home more quickly. But we do work with a lot of shelters in town, or a lot of rescues in town. We work with shelters as well. So some of the other shelters, including the Animal Foundation, the shelter in Pahrump, we will transfer in animals from them because they both have government contracts, government funding, and they're overloaded. So we'll go in and take animals from them and bring them into our shelter and our care to find them a home more quickly.
Yeah, when you gave us a tour of your beautiful place, it was just amazing how everybody was working hard when it was feeding time and cleaning. There's just so much going on, so it's amazing that you run such a beautiful place. And I think it made a difference. If I was coming in to, adopt a pet, everything looks nice, smells nice. You had the best music playing. It felt like what I listen to when I get a massage. It was just so relaxing. I bet the animals love it. But it was such a great environment. I did notice a lot of big dogs, though. Not too many small ones.
Well, our shelter, thank you for all the compliments. When we built that shelter, I joked that I think that we were an advantage that nobody that was working on the project had ever built a shelter before. So we didn't know that it should be pretty, and it should. I wanted it to feel like home. I didn't want it to smell and to be too loud, and wanted it to be very inviting. And I'm glad you enjoyed the music.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We do massages there, but just for the dogs. But that is really for all the animals as part of our de-stressing. We call it enrichment. All the things that we do for the animals to make sure that they feel more comfortable while they're in our care. So speaking of the large dogs, our shelter and shelters all over the country now have a large dog problem, and it's directly linked to economy. Many of those dogs have been given up because of housing issues. Many of them have been given up because of financial issues. And when I first took this job in September 2019, one of our first adoption events was on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. We called it Adopt Till You Drop, and instead of Shop Till You Drop on Black Friday. and we adopted out 77 animals that day
Wow.
in one day. And every dog in our building was adopted. Every
No
dog,
way.
because we had a sponsor that was covering the fees.
Uh-huh.
So now we will have events like that where a sponsor will cover the adoption fees. We do a lot of things, for example, with Finley Toyota, and Chopper at Tobin's a big sponsor as well. We worked with other businesses, and we will, it just is not making an impact anymore, even if we waive the adoption fees. I was talking with one of our staff members about that today, and I said, in some ways, I think it's a good thing because I think people are realizing their limitations because of economy. Yes, I can adopt this dog today, and I'm not going to pay an adoption fee, but I don't have money to take care of this dog moving forward. So a lot of large dogs are sitting there. You're not seeing small dogs, even though we intake them, but just because they get adopted very, very quickly. So, but the large dogs sit there. And a lot of these large dogs, so there's a stereotype that if you go into a shelter, you're just going to see pit bulls and chihuahuas.
Which I didn't see that many of.
No. And by the way, the chihuahuas are going to get a home right away because they're little. But we just have a lot of working dogs. And these are working dogs are dogs that need a job. They're dogs that need activities. So you saw a lot of huskies. Huskies should be pulling sleds in the snow. They need a lot of activity. And for whatever reason, a lot of these owners are either not willing to provide the activity, or maybe because of their work schedule or their housing situation, they can't provide the activity. Or maybe they bought that husky because it was a cute little fluffy puppy with blue eyes in a pet store. For whatever reason, now the dog is grown and they're surrendering it to our shelter. You'll see a lot of German Shepherds, again, dogs that need to be really active. A lot of cattle dogs, which are crazy that when we are in a community that is not an agricultural community, it's crazy that there are so many Australian Shepherds and healers and other cattle dog breeds that, again, should be, running circles in pastures and herding livestock, and instead they're sitting in shelters.
Yeah. Made me want to take one home. But when I'd go to the old shelter where we got the pig, and I would see a lot of pit bulls, chihuahuas there, it was always two reasons I didn't go. I stopped going. One was because I was sad every time I left, and the second reason, my wife would always get an animal, and we already have a huge farm. So this time when I went to the new place, I wasn't sad when I left. I don't know why. It just It felt like a happy place.
Well, we do. I'm glad that you weren't sad. We do get people that I have a current board member now. The first time she visited the shelter, she started crying when she saw the dog kennels. And I pointed out to her that, first of all, as you could see, they're great big kennels. They're
they had
double-sided.
a run. Yeah, it was nice.
A lot of these dogs are getting more attention in our care than they did in their previous home.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do we have staff that takes them out for walks, we have volunteers that do that. We have volunteers that come every day, walk them early in the morning before it gets really hot. We have volunteers that go play with them in our dog yard, throw them balls. During the summertime, we have kiddie swimming pools they can play in, agility courses. We have volunteers that will come in and give them treats, that will read to them. So they're getting a lot of attention in our care. Of course, it's never as good as a home, a good home, but they're well taken care of.
Does that help with the volunteers?
Immensely. Yeah. So last year we had over 2,000 people, different volunteers, come into our shelter. A lot of them might have come on a day or two with their company.
Right.
I would say that we have a solid core of about 100 people that we depend on for all of those activities all the time. And then we do a number of, because again, we're privately funded, we network all the time in community events throughout the community, and we have volunteers that staff a lot of those events for us. But it's because we have a small staff, and we're privately funded as it is. Our staff is about half of our $3 million budget is payroll. That may seem like a lot, but I remind people that most of our staff are frontline animal care. They're adoption counselors that are interacting with the animal. They're the animal care team that feed and care for the animals in their kennels. They're, of course, our veterinary team, our intake team that first bring in the animals. So most of that are people that are actively taking care of pets. It's a lot.
Payroll's a lot. Any business, that's the biggest expense.
It is. Yeah. And while nobody's getting rich at our place, we want to pay them a living wage.
Yeah.
We know that they could make money someplace else, but they really want to work with animals.
It's rewarding.
And then we do offer some benefits like health insurance, and we even have a retirement plan because it's important that they're well taken care of so that they'll stay with us. Because anytime you leave, you lose an employee, you lose that experience, and it's money out the door.
Yeah.
And we have a pretty good rate of retention. We don't lose a lot of people.
Nice.
Yeah.
We interviewed, we had recently from Gilcrease Nature Sanctuary, and they had people who would just throw ducks and chickens over the wall. Have you ever showed up to work to a surprise?
All the time. So, unfortunately, there's still people that will dump. I just think that desperate people do desperate things. And then you get people that just don't care. Even though it's illegal, and there's signs in our building that say it's illegal, but people will come in the night and tie animals up to our posts. Now, we have had to improve our security procedures because last year in the heat of the summer at 10 o'clock at night, when it's still 110 here, we had somebody just dump a dog in front of our front door. So we actually have an alarm system now that will go off and signal our facility manager that there's been a dumping, and then he'll get on the cameras and see if it can. And if he can't see what's inside the kennel, then he's going to have to go there and get it. So we do that. We will report people to Animal Protection Services for dumping people. We had a dog, and in some cases, we will turn the video into the media. So we had an instance where a really scared dog was tied up to a pole at about 9 o'clock in the morning before we were open. And, it would have been a dog that in normal circumstances, if they would have followed the procedures, filled out a surrender application, made an appointment, we would have taken the dog. But the dog was so scared at the time that we couldn't touch it. All we could do was hose it down until Animal Protection Services got there. But we had on video, 2 young ladies that were dumping. The dog was registered to their mother, but just dumping the dog. And it's heartbreaking to watch because you can see that the animal doesn't know what's going on. Like, why am I being abandoned? So yeah, we get that a lot. And, it's what there are, people do have options. It does take a couple of weeks in some instances for us to take in animals because we're full. There's other shelters in town that will take the animals. And again, but I would say that there are still a lot of people that want to surrender their animals to us because the animal is not a priority. We will offer them resources till we're blue in the face, but they just don't have, it's not a priority. And I think you and I talked about how we couldn't imagine ever giving up our pets. And, of course, most of our staff feels that way. However, other people just don't have the wherewithal, whether it's financial or emotional or whatever, to keep that pet. So our job is not to judge. Our job is to find a home where the animal is a priority.
Have you had any just crazy animals that people have tried to drop off?
Yes. Unfortunately, a lot of times people will dump animals that have issues. So if it's a behavioral issue, like they didn't train the animal or something happened in that animal's life to make it really reactive behaviorally, and then they dump it off to us. Or we will also get animals that have medical issues that have not been treated. So we have a cute little, it's a Shar-Pei Chow mix. I think that's her name is Bao Bao. And she was a stray that somebody brought to us. Now, we don't have the contract and thus the government funding to take in strays, but we still take them in if we have space. And she was a cute little dog that had a skin infection that needed to be treated. So she's in foster right now while we're still treating it. Did somebody give her up for that reason? We don't know, but it's possible that they just didn't have the money to treat her and knew something was wrong, and so they dumped her.
So part of the program is people can help you with fostering?
Yes, we have a great foster program that is it's primarily for, well, it's for any animal that's not ready for an adoptive home yet.
Okay.
So most of our fostering, most of it's for kittens. Kittens that are too small to be spayed and neutered, be put in a home. Puppies, we do it for puppies as well. Animals that are underweight, underage. But we also have fosters that are really good at behavioral animals. A dog or a cat that's not doing well in the shelter. So we're putting into a foster home so that we can, hopefully it will decompress, calm down where it's not surrounded by a variety of other animals, and feel more at home, and then we can really judge what the behavior is. We also have medical fosters, like the instance I just talked about with Bow Bow, where their job is to treat it medically with medication, perhaps see how it recuperates from a surgical procedure, and then interact with our veterinarian and our staff until the animal's ready to go, and they'll bring it back in the shelter, and then we'll make it available for adoption. Fostering is also a really great way to experience the love of other animals and not have to adopt them all. So I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I right now have 3 personal cats. I also currently on my second floor have a nursing mother and 5 kittens, and they will go up for adoption on Thursday. But it's been an experience for me where I still get to watch kittens grow up. I'm helping them both with their physical health and their emotional and behavioral health, getting them ready and socialized for a new home. And it's a really rewarding experience for a lot of our fosters. We provide all of the supplies, all the food. There's no out-of-pocket costs. And then for some of our fosters, it's a great runway to adoption. I mean, they call it foster fail. I don't really like that word because I think it's a success. But
what does that mean when it fails? It means they want to keep it?
You can't give it back.
Okay.
And we let them keep it.
Yeah.
They can adopt the animal. So we have a really great foster program, and we are really appreciative of our fosters. Again, we provide all the medical care, all the supplies. We throw parties for them. We just did an event at the shelter called a kitten shower in preparation for the surge in kitten season, where we had an educational presentation for both new and experienced fosters. But we also had food and drinks and Tito's vodka and champagne and donuts and all kinds of fun stuff. We played games, and we do a lot of events like that to make it fun for fosters, so they feel like they're really part of our community.
Yeah, Tito's looked like a big sponsor for you. They had a big painting outside.
Yeah, it's a private organization that's been really committed to giving back to the community, including animal welfare. They have a platform called Vodka for Dog People, and they've been really supportive. They sponsored our dog yard, both with money and product for any of our parties. Last year, they gave us $50,000 to support for our community support program, which was amazing. And they just launched a new platform, Vodka for Cat People. So that was the sponsor for our kitten shower. So they're really a great give back company, and we just love our relationship with them.
When I was there looking at the big dogs, I got my eye on getting one soon. We lost both of our big dogs recently. So there was a cute dog there that's in the Target ads. Is he still?
Oh, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Dorothy was adopted.
Really?
She was adopted yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, she has a family.
What's that breed called?
So she was a miniature bull terrier.
Bull terrier.
Yeah, she has a new family.
She was super cute.
So cute. Yeah.
How do we help the big dogs get adopted? If somebody decides to get one, if it doesn't work out, can they bring it back? What's the policy on that?
So we take all of our animals back. Yeah.
Okay.
We make the returns very easy. Again, no judgment. We realize that doesn't always work out. I mean, we'll have situations where, we do a dog meet and greet if we think that the dog that we have in our care doesn't get along with all dogs. We call it dog selective. And we will have you bring your dog from home to meet the dog in our care. And then we will advise you if we think it's going to work out. But we also know it doesn't always work out. So you can return the animal. I mean, I just would really urge anyone that if you do have the means to bring in another pet in your care, to do it now, because there's so many pets in need of homes. And, sadly, there's just a lot of people that don't have the means, or maybe they made some poor choices and got ahead of themselves and weren't able to keep this animal. But again, if you're able to add one more to your home, we would, visit Nevada SPCA and all the shelters in the community.
It's super rewarding. We, a couple years back, got a Chihuahua that was about 14 years old for my dad, who's older, and just seeing them together is so rewarding. So, and these prices at these pet stores for dogs, I mean, $3,000, $5,000, it's crazy.
It is. And I'll say that you don't always know what you're going to get when you get a puppy. At least if you adopt an adult dog, you will already know what that dog's behavior is. And puppies, there's a lot of unknowns with that. I know they're really cute.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot of work. I joke that I actually think that they're harder than babies. Puppies are harder than babies, and I've had both, and I will never have either again. Puppies chew up your shoes, and babies don't chew up your shoes and go to the bathroom on your carpet and require behavioral training in their first year of life. Puppies are a lot of work. I mean, again, they're adorable. I don't know if there's anything cuter in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also, again, people think that we only have certain dogs in shelters. We have plenty of purebred dogs that come our way. We've had purebred puppies come our way because people were not literally handed us a receipt for $4,500 and said they were not ready for a puppy. So you'd be surprised at the variety of animals that come into shelters that are purebreds. I mean, Dorothy, you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Purebred miniature bull terrier. Look like the target dog. So I would just keep an eye out for what's available. And
what's the best way to do that? On the website?
On the website. Just watch the website.
Let's give everybody the website and all the info.
So it's NevadaSPCA.org, O-R-G. And I'd also encourage you to go to petfinder.com.
Okay.
And it's a great website that tells you all the animals that are available throughout the community. And then you may not find what you're looking for right away, but just keep trying, and you're going to find what you want.
Can they see there to be able to volunteer, to donate, all that stuff's on the website? All
on our website. Launched a new beautiful website at the beginning of March, so you're going to find out all that information there, how to volunteer. You do need to, we make that very easy. We try to make everything very easy and turnkey to get people involved with Nevada SPCA and animal welfare in our community. Our volunteer department, you attend a 30-minute volunteer orientation. You sign the paperwork, and you can walk in the next day with a variety of activities. You can do things like pack food for our pet pantry that I talked about earlier. You can clean kennels if you want. Or we have some volunteers that just come in and play with the animals, interact with the animals, or read to them. We also have foster applications are on there. All the information if you want to donate supplies. We have wish lists with Amazon and Chewy. So it really gives you a really comprehensive view of all the ways that you can get involved in animal welfare. Back to volunteering, you can come once a year. We have some volunteers that come every day that are retired, and this is really like their retirement job. So we don't put any requirements on how often you need to volunteer. It's whatever works with your life. And with that, with adoptions too, our adoptions are walk-in. You walk in during our hours that we're open, and which is 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 on Saturday. We're closed on Sundays. And you can immediately interact with the animal, ask our staff about questions. There's a QR code where you can start the application on your phone. Go to
Perfect.
the front desk. Our adoption staff will finish the process for you. And if you find an animal that you like, you can easily be in and out of there in an hour.
That's awesome. So nspca.org.
It's actually Nevada, spelled out,
Okay.
SPCA.org, O-R-G.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, the animals are lucky to have you, and thank you again for your time. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jack. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.